A picture of the digital landscape in Iran, because the government says that this is the first step in scaling back internet restrictions. But what is it actually like in terms of the scale of restrictions in Iran?
So the scale of restrictions, as you mentioned, are pretty vast. This is something that goes back to as far as 2009, after the Green Movement, the mass protests against the government, where the ban on Facebook and Twitter started back then. Protesters were using Facebook and Twitter, mostly social media, for mobilizing, organizing, but also for posting and disseminating images of the protests and the government brutality to the outside world, sending them to the media. And so the ban first initially came with those citing national security threats and other sort of reasons or excuses by the state. And to this day, as you mentioned, many social network platforms, including YouTube, Telegram, Facebook, Twitter, even WhatsApp, these messaging apps are either banned or with high restrictions, Instagram included. And this is something that creates two issues for Iranians. One, they have to pay money to obtain these VPNs or proxies that would help them go around the bans. It's not always successful, but a lot of Iranians use that. It's just become part of their everyday life. And two, it just slows down access to most of the internet due to the ban. So sometimes even when I try to get in touch with friends and loved ones inside Iran, it's very hard. You have to try WhatsApp, you try FaceTime, you try all these different communications, and it doesn't always work, or it's not always high quality. So it's a pretty strict sort of landscape when it comes to filtering and banning of these applications.
And Negar, so WhatsApp has been banned since 2022, but other platforms like YouTube, of course, used widely around in many parts of the world. Well, YouTube has been banned since 2009. So why do you think at this moment the government is looking to relieve some of the restrictions on social media?
Well, this is one of the major demands or issues that the young population has with the government, that they've been demanding a removing of these bans. But sort of the hardline and conservative forces in the country have to this point succeeded in keeping the filtering and actually adding more to the bans. And previous governments have promised to be able to remove some of these bans, to restore some of the internet speed. They haven't been able to really deliver as much. And this president as well, the reformist president Pezeshkian, that was also one of the promises of his campaign. And so I think users see this as one step in that direction of fulfilling one of the promises. They don't see it as enough necessarily. It's just one app and one store, the Google Play and WhatsApp, and users are saying there are other apps that are much more widely used in Iran. For example, Instagram, where a lot of users also use for small businesses, for online sales, for their livelihoods, that this ban has essentially put a lot of hurdles on the way of not just their personal, but also their professional life. And so it's not seen as enough, but I guess it's a first step, and we just have to wait and see how it's going to be unfolded. Is it going to be a complete opening of these apps? Is the government going to impose more restrictions while the users are able to use them? That just remains to be seen.
Negar, you've painted a picture of the demand for being able to access these apps, particularly among young people. And then, of course, on the other side, there's still this perspective from the hardliners who say that these apps are actually allowing access to the Iranian people would be a gift for Iran's enemies. Is there any sort of resonance among young people when views like that are expressed, or those views don't really relate to what they want and why they want to be able to access these apps?
No, ironically, the majority of the younger population, I would say, does not sort of accept the reasoning when it comes to national security, threats to Iran's national security, to sovereignty, and also what the hardliners see as sort of a cultural attack on their values, on social values of the country. They constantly talk about protecting the family and the core values of the country. for some of what they call "quote unquote" indecency on these apps that the population is going to be exposed to. But one of the main arguments I think that the young generation makes is that these bans are just so blanket that they're not even banning what it is being described at. It's just banning a wide variety of essentially content and access that people just need for their everyday normal life, and that they do have in many of the neighboring countries and across the world. And it's just something that's held the Iranian society back when it comes to technology and access to the world. And it's kept them sort of in a form of isolation, if you will, because of this lack of access to some of these apps and some of these services, and also the slow speed of the internet.
Thank you.